Alright, I honestly have no idea who this video is for, but for the few people who plan on playing the Milipro TCG, I'm going to do a short introduction on how to play it because there's no English resources for this. So that's what I'm going to do, and I got these recently, so I decided I might as well. If you're wondering, this is what the cards came in. Don't be surprised, these are the same things that your cam badge, random cam badges that come in, and they're empty. I just kept it for this. So here are the actual decks themselves. Not very large, and yeah. So I guess just as a brief introduction for people wondering about this TCG, because if you don't know about Million Production, you probably have no idea about this TCG, and even if you did know, this TCG kind of doesn't have much. So it's a VTuber agency. Milipro is a VTuber agency. It's not very overseas friendly, so if you're an English VTuber watcher, there's a chance you probably have not seen them, but also there's a chance you might have seen clips of some of their talents before. So quite surprisingly, they decided to make a TCG. The issue with this TCG is that I don't think that anywhere supports the TCG. I think even within Japan, they haven't really held competitions, right? Because this TCG was pretty much made in-house and doesn't really have the support of a larger card game company. So unlike something like the Hololive trading card game, there's not really support for this. And of course, if you are not living in Japan in the first place, you basically probably have no idea about this because it is still only sold in Japan, and it wasn't even sold in most card stores. It was a sort of a limited collector kind of shtick going on with it. So most likely you probably would have never heard of it. And yeah, I thought it was interesting, so I bought them. By the way, each single start deck of 20 cards each is 3,000 yen, which if you've played any card game before, is extremely expensive for such a small deck. So I won't really suggest people to play it, but if you just so happen to, I don't know, have some money to spend or something, well, yeah, you could play it, but I don't think you'll find many people to play it with. So yeah, that's it for just a quick introduction about this TCG and why it exists. If you want to know more, you can ask in the comments or search it up yourself. But yeah, so I'm going to go through how to play the game. It's quite a simple game, but before that, I would just like to do a very basic comparison between this Milipro TCG as well as some other popular card games. So this is Cross Stars. If you don't know, Cross Stars is a Japanese limited card game based around Japanese streamers, mostly Vespo, Neoporte, and Sia. I think some of the few other groups as well, but it's quite a interesting card game. And then the most popular one, which would be Hololive OCG. And just for fun, because I just so happen to own some of these, this is the Zutomeo TCG. Sorry, it's not in frame. So I just want to go through just a quick description of each of these cards because the price points for each of these are quite varying. I would say these two, Cross Stars and Hololive OCG. Hololive OCG is definitely the one which you'll probably have seen the most if you play TCGs in the first place. They are done by Bushiroad, so it's quite well known overseas, a lot of events, so this is the most probable one you'll see. Cross Stars, relatively popular in Japan. I would say most card stores actually carry Cross Stars. There's quite a few events as well, relatively big, but of course it's very Japanese limited and it's hard to get cards outside of Japan, though some people do get them. Zutomeo card game, this was a very random thing that I managed to get my hands on. I'm pretty sure you are able to buy it on the Zutomeo store, but I don't really know too much about it. I actually know that it is actually a playable card game. I do have the starter set to play it, but I've never checked the rules, so I have no idea. And of course, we have the Milipro card game over here. So I just want to do a quick description on each of the cards and talk about it a bit. So for most of these cards, they are all standard size. So I've sleeved these, but these are standard size sleeves. This is double sleeved, but they are pretty much standard size. I'll take it out for easier comparison. But these are all pretty much the same size as your standard card size. It will fit basically all sleeves, and yeah. So I'll say that. So the printers for each of these cards are different. I actually don't know who did the Zutomio cards. I think it's in-house, but they did probably use a proper card printer distributor or whatever, because these cards are not bad quality, I'll say. They are more in line with like your regular cards, slightly thinner, but for the most part, smooth edges, relatively alright texture. Hololive is of course the best, done by Bushiroad. They are extremely rich. I know Cross Stars is not printed by Bushiroad. I don't know who exactly prints the Cross Star cards, but they are relatively good quality. I think the earlier sets did have a few issues with the earlier prints, but in general, it's still an alright print, especially in the later sets. And Milipro TCG, I'll say the best way to describe the card printing is that it feels like a name card. If you've ever like printed name cards yourself, it feels like this. That's what they use to print. And specifically, they use probably one of those, like, you know, those card choppers. They probably use one of those. You can see the centering on the card is a bit off, probably done manually, and the edges are actually like really sharp. They aren't really rounded. So yeah, definitely I would say, because if I'm not wrong, these cards are all done probably within in-house, and I don't know what they used to make it, but I wouldn't say they're bad quality. It's just they don't really feel like regular trading cards if you've actually played card games. So next, just want to talk a bit about the foils for the cards. So it's usually like the holographic effect for the cards. Zutomio is quite nice. It's alright, some texturing to it. Hololive OCG, of course, good. You can see the texture on the holo quite well. I mean, it's Bushiroad, so this is not a full art, but you can the main art is slightly shiny. It's a bit hard to tell, but you can sort of tell there's a bit of a holographic here. These are also not bad for Cross Stars. I mean, it's as expected. For Milipro, if you take a closer look, I'm not trying to shame Milipro. I can't even take it off the sleeve. I'll just leave it in the sleeve. But it's sort of just printed all over the card. It's not really textured. It's just like the whole paper is kind of holographic. Also, if you actually go side by side, it's actually a bit duller as well. But you know, I won't really fault them for it. They tried to make something interesting, and they tried it, and it sort of is not exactly the quality of it, but of course scale of economy, a lot of other factors. But I'd say definitely Milipro TCG is not a very cost efficient game. Booster packs for these, especially the regular card games like these, are about 500 and something yen per pack, about 5,000, actually even less per pack. I think under 500 per pack, plus a box is about 5,400-ish yen. Milipro, they don't really sell boxes, but per pack it's 600 yen and you get 3 cards. So even for these are about 150 yen per card, while these I'll say are like 20 yen, not counting like rares and holographic effects and such. So yeah, that's just a quick comparison of how each of these cards are like. I definitely say Milipro does not have the best quality cards, but you put them in the sleeve and you don't really care about it too much. So yeah, anyway, this is a quick comparison of these cards. And I will move on to talking about the Milipro TCG rules. So I'll have the Milipro cards and the rules in the description in case you want to check it yourself. But I will quickly go through the card types. I'll basically be going through the official rule page and just describing it in the most simple way. But if you don't want to sit through the whole thing, I'll just TLDR it and say that if you've played any card game like Shadowverse or Hearthstone, it's very similar. So let's just start. So firstly is descriptions of the card. So there are three main card types here. These are talent cards. This is a basic form. This is an evolved form. And these are your event cards. So for your talent cards, it's quite easy to explain. So the name of the card is the card type, is the cost of the card, which I'll talk about how you play cost later. And there's attack and defense. Pretty basic in terms of card terms. If you've ever played Shadowverse or Hearthstone, this is basically the same sort of numbers you would see on cards like that. And yeah, it works about the same way. Next is the card effect. So card effects, some of them are passive, some of them are active. I won't translate all of them. I don't have the list of cards either. But if you want to figure out, you can probably just use like Google Translate and figure them out. But there are some card effects which are on play, some card effects which are passive. So yeah, this is a talent card. And then this is an evolved version of a talent card. So what you do is that after you play this, one turn later, you are able to play over this, and then you have an evolved version. So same as always, you have a cost, you have a attack HP, then you have an effect as well. And last but not least is the event card. So for event card, there's only two things. Event card, name of the event, this is the cost, and this is the effect of the card. So like basically a spell, you just play it, effect triggers, and then you rest it. So yeah, these are the three types of cards. Pretty simple. So going on to the actual rules of the game. Alright, so I'll put the visual up of the board here, and I'll just sort of explain it as I'll just explain how the field works. So first and foremost, you have your stage. So your stage is where you play your units. So when you play units, they can't attack on their first turn. Just think of it like really if you've played Shadowverse or Hearthstone, it's very similar. So unless they have an effect like a rush or storm or whatever, the first turn you play them, they can't do anything. They can activate their effects, but besides that, they won't be able to attack. So next is your hand, of course. At the start of the game, you'll have your deck face down. You'll draw 5 cards. And then that's what you'll use to play. I, of course, didn't shuffle them, but yeah. And then next, you have your deck. So your deck is, like I said, consists of 20 cards. I'm pretty sure there's no... I didn't read any limit on... I don't think I've read any limits on how many of each card you can bring, or whether there's a requirement of like the breakdown of cards, but I assume there isn't because I didn't read it. There's not really extremely in-depth rules about this, but yeah. And then right below your deck would be your rest zone. So it's basically a graveyard. If your unit dies or you play an event card, it will go there. And then last but not least, you need counters, but just for simplicity, I have dice here. So each player will have HP. So like in Shadowverse, you'll have HP. You'll start with 10 HP per player. And you'll also have an energy called Yell. So the way Yell works is that at the start of each turn, it will go up by 1, and then it will be fully refilled, and then you will have this fixed amount to play. So every turn after you draw a card, you can increase your Yell, just keep track of how much you spend each turn. So when you start the game after you shuffle your card and set up everything and draw your cards, you usually play rock, paper, scissors, or the official rule says you'll play rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes first or second. So if you don't want to, you can roll dice, but official rules, stuff like that. So when the turn starts, the first thing you do is after you set up your deck, you shuffle your deck, put it down, draw 5 cards, and afterwards, your turn starts, you draw 1 card, so you have 6 on your first turn. If you are going first, you will start at 0, and the first turn you start, you'll go to 1 yell. If you are going second, you'll start at 1 yell, and so on the first turn that you start, if you are going second, you will have 2 yells to play with. So that's the sort of advantage you get going second. I would say that I don't exactly know how balanced this is in this situation, because compared to other games, having 10 HP and a deck of 20 would really mean that the games wouldn't really last that long. So in fact, having this extra point doesn't snowball you, because the chances are you probably won't get to a very large amount of yells by the end of the game before it finishes. So yes. So the way it works is that after you draw, you do your yell, you can play cards during your main phase, can put down talents, play event cards if you'd like, and afterwards you can go to the attack phase. During the attack phase, you can of course attack with your talents, and you can either attack the opponent directly or you can attack other talents on the opponent's stage. So like I said, very similar to something like Shadowverse. You can choose to trade and play control, or you can choose to play aggro and just hit face. And when you take damage, you of course just mark on your own HP counter that you've lost HP. And then after every talent has attacked, your turn will end, and then the turn will pass over to the other person and they will do the same. So very simple rules, not very complicated. If you, like I said, if you've played any of the other sort of mobile card games, very similar aspect to it. So when it comes to attacking, so like I said, if you want, you can attack talents and you can attack the enemy. Just like in Shadowverse and Hearthstone, if you trade, you will take your attack and you'll deal it to the HP of your opponent, and they will do their attack to you as well. So you don't get a free hit, it's sort of a trade. So if, for example, if I were to use this Akubi card to attack this other Akubi card, they will both go to rest. That's how it works. And so of course, like I said, you can attack directly at the opponent's HP as well. I don't really know what the meta tactics for this game are, because I haven't even played a trial run for it. But yeah, that's about it for the game. It's relatively simple, and whoever loses all their HP first will lose the game. Relatively simple to understand, I hope. And so yeah, that's about it for the whole game. Quite a simple game, especially if you have played some of these mobile gacha games before. Not very complicated. And I'll say the best thing about this game is that it's very similar to something like Poke Pocket. Because of the fact that your deck size is so small, games probably would not last very long. You'll probably be able to complete games relatively fast, especially with only having 10 HP and such a small deck. And if you're asking, what if you deck out, or what if, you deck out and both players deck out and no one is dead, then what happens? Well, here's the thing, there's no further details on rulings like this. So the truth is that I have no idea how it works, but if I were to assume, it would probably be very similar in that if you do deck out, you probably just lose. And that should be how it works. But, there's not really detailed rules on this page. So yeah, if you can check the page yourself. I've mostly just gone through the general details of it. There are a few more, I guess, smaller details which I don't go in depth into, but that's about the main thing, or at least that's what I can see from the rules page after reading it. So yeah, that's how to play the Milipro card game. I don't think anyone will be. I don't think I'll find anyone else who plays this because I don't know anyone who's probably willing to purchase these cards. But that's why I have two, so I can play with myself. So yeah, anyway, that is introduction to how to play the Milipro card game. I'd say it probably is. I don't know, if you want to play a very quick card game that isn't Pokemon and you want it to be physical, I guess this is the solution to it, except that it's extremely difficult to get overseas. You'll probably be able to find no one else who wants to play this game or has this game in the first place, and getting them from Japan is probably extremely expensive. I paid about 8,500 yen to get both these decks over. So yes, they are not very cheap, but if you are a big fan of Milipro, I'd say these are a pretty fun collectible item to just have. And if you find any other Milipro fans, well, you are able to play the game with them. And thanks to the simplicity of the rules, I don't think it's that difficult for them to learn as well. So yeah, that's about it. I don't know who needs to see this video, but if you have someone who wants to play this game for some apparent reason, well, now you can know without figuring out the Japanese on the guide rule page, even though you can probably just use Google's auto translate function. And yeah, so hey, that's it. Hope this has been an informational video. I don't think it's that informational, but yep, that's it from me. Goodbye.